What really excites women about a car?
There is obviously a contribution of the woman, in that man's success. But obviously, it is something which is not seen directly.
Good girls don't make history, bold girls make history.
Was your therapist good? Was your therapist bad? You want to be dead when you're dead, right? You don't want to be dead when you're living. So I've earned that place. I know how to sit on the chair. So nobody can take me off that chair.
Hello everyone and welcome back to AP Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning into AP Podcast. And so sorry if my voice is bit irritating. I'm having a sore throat at this time. But anyways, talking about this episode, guys, this is one of the most I would say unexpected episodes that I have done in the recent times, because I was really expecting a conversation like business, entrepreneurship, and more about feminism in this podcast. But what we actually ended up discussing was far more significant, whether it be life philosophies, whether it be the role of women, whether it be the patriarchy, or even in general how the modern day consumer is appearing to be. Uh, so, guys, I think this podcast is a must for everyone, every age group, irrespective of what genre you belong to, irrespective of what age bracket you belong to. This podcast with Miss Sanjeen Sawhney is something that you should definitely see. Miss Sanjeen Sawhney is the MD of ANB Auto Limited, which is one of the most prevalent uh, company which looks after the circulation of various parts related to cars in various major firms like Mahindra and some other luxury brands as well. So I really hope that you will enjoy this podcast. And yeah, without any further delay, AP podcast starting in 3, 2, 1.
First of all, Sanjeen ma'am, thank you so much for coming to AP podcast. I'm feeling like a super junior at the moment, to be very frank. And it's like really a great feeling, both hosting a person who has done so much in life, plus also who belongs to your own college. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Aftab. I will thank you actually for having me here. This is the least I can do for my college and my juniors.
Yeah, I hope we have an amazing conversation. Off the camera, I got to know so many things. I got to know so many things about you and your interests. I am really aspiring for a very great conversation. Begin with, let's start with something which is contemporary in your time at this time. In your career wise, I think you are MD of AMB Motors, right? If I'm correct with the facts.
Yes.
So, car niche, or this niche of thing where you basically deal with automobile industry, is something which is basically dominated by so-called men. Like, you'll hardly find a woman like telling like this is her favorite car or this is her this favorite thing. It's usually like men only tell that. Even like when we are if a man is sitting with their partner, they will be more excited about a car or something like that. So being in such a male dominated industry, I would really like to know how was your experience with it. Yeah,
So,
just a bit closer, Mike. Yeah.
so Aftab, I guess I belong to a patriarchal family as well, as we were discussing. So obviously, the line of work is also patriarchal, and women in our family were not even allowed to work, leave alone anything else. The only predetermined thing for a woman in our family would be, get married, have children, have a good life, and that's it. But probably I was made to do something different. And when we talk about passion for cars, when I was a kid, I used to have that passion for cars, which was very surprising because all my friends, as you say, all the men, they were more interested in cars. But I started, driving a car when I was in college. I used to drive a car, and probably I was the only girl who used to drive a car at that time. So this we're talking about 2 decades back.
In your college era?
Yes, in Hindu college. So I was known to drive. At that time, there was this beautiful car called Ford Escort, that had come. So in
yeah.
Delhi University, I think it was actually the only car.
And you were driving that.
And I was driving that car. So, of course,
You must be
that.
turning a lot of heads, I
Yes,
guess.
of course. Even my professors used to be like, okay, you got this car, but you have to study, you have to work hard, you have to make your mark in life, on your own terms. And yes, I think, I had that belief in myself also that I would do something, but I wasn't thinking particularly automobiles, like, because I went into the education line, then I started working for United Nations. But I really didn't know that life, as it is, uncertain with all the twists and turns, would actually get me into the automobile industry. And I was so passionate about cars. And I think this was like the perfect thing for me. Even right now, if you see, I would have all the best cars, and this is all by
That's
my
even-
own hard work. It's not been gifted
Yeah.
to me. I have bought them with my own hard work.
Like that's what we first saw when we entered.
Yeah, so you'll see all the best cars, like the world's best cars with me. So I think that was my passion. And coming back to your question, yeah, there were hardly any women, and there still are hardly any women in the automobile sector. It was very difficult for me to get a foothold in the industry because generally I would say, it's not something against men, but it's just how society perceives the roles. So it's like probably, there were a few people who were very encouraging. There was this group called Mahindra Group. I'm a single source supplier to Mahindra. They were very encouraging, though they had their inhibitions because I was in my 20s when I joined in. So one of them, looked at me and they said, but ma'am, you are so young, and you're a girl. Will you be able to survive in the industry?
This is after UN?
Yes, this is after UN. And I think even my family, for that matter, at that point maybe thought it's a male-dominated industry. Would I even be able to survive a day in, there? But I think anything you put your mind to or you passionate about or you consistent about, you can do anything. Sky is the limit. I can probably, like I was doing well in UN, I did well in my education, I'm doing good in business. Tomorrow, if I change my vocation, it's not a big deal. It's just, who I am. If I want to do anything, it doesn't matter what endeavor it is. If I have a habit or that consistency to achieve excellence, I'll do it in any line. And honestly, I haven't seen being a woman as a disadvantage in the auto industry, I would see that it is actually a plus thing. And I employed women in my factory to even sit on machines, which many people will not generally, put their faith into because they will be like, women hai, they should just do, things which are not that complicated, like packing or, which anybody can do. But when I saw them working, I saw the passion in them. Even they wanted to grow. So who is going to give them an opportunity? Being a woman, it was like, okay, I have got this opportunity. I did well. So being a woman, I was very welcoming to women. And if you see my vicinity, if you see my factories, you will be amazed to see how many women are actually sitting on the machine. And they will actually give you more production than many men there. So it's not a comparison between the men and the women. But what I'm trying to say
But
is,
you feel women are better in terms of logistics?
I think it's about skills. I would say that we usually think that ये कोई gender defined roles हैं कि आदमी है तो ये politics अच्छी कर सकता है या ये leadership roles अच्छे कर सकता है, but I don't think it is like that. Life is about learning skills and life is about ever evolving. Why do we do education? We are learning skills. Why do we do higher education? So anyone, being a boy or a girl, can learn a particular skill and do well in any industry for that matter. Why do we think it is only our perception, that ladki hai so she can just do a packing role and she can't be in a managerial position? You see, now women are coming up and you will see few of them, I would say right now, to be very honest, who are, like MDs of companies or in the higher positions. But as we are changing our thinking, as we are talking, I'm sure there would be many people who would be inspired, to take up roles like even manufacturing. Manufacturing is tough. Of course it is, But anyone who has acquired the skills or has that belief in themselves can do it.
True that. But this very random question, but it's something that I was very fascinated with. That as a woman, like it may sound a very biased question, but still, I want to ask this. That's when you see a car as a woman, like for men, though I know what could really excite a man about car, but what really excites women about a car would be a question that I really wanna know from you.
So, as a woman, I would always say that usually women see men driving good cars and they're like, okay, that's like a good car, and that guy has it. But for me, it was that drive, whenever I would see a car, it would. I would see that that there's this drive, there's this engine, there's this combustion, and look at the car, it goes like zoom. Yeah, so as a child, I would think that, and yeah, probably I had a technical mind also, like even as a kid. So I had dolls as well, like all parents would give their girls dolls. But I would also go, do that shopping, and I would look at the trucks and things like that. And then my parents were like
Hot feels.
amazed that what is this, like why would she not get this fancy dolled up beautiful doll and go for a car or a truck instead, but then I would open up the toy and assemble it back together. So I think in that way, I what I would say is that if we actually bring up children in a way wherein you have given equal things to anyone, they can just choose who they want to be. Why should the roles also be gender defined? No, they don't need to be. A guy can do anything, a girl can also do anything.
Also, since talking about women, I would really like to know this thing about hustle culture. As in, you must be knowing, आप इस industry में हो, there is this hustle that young people have to, to go out and create something. Like, I have seen people who are working their jobs Monday to Friday, रात को time निकाल रहे हैं to some side hustle, or Saturday, Sundays, they are devoting themselves there. Or some people are so extreme they're leaving their jobs to do something. So do you feel sometimes this hustle culture is bit biased? Like we see men founders many times or men who are doing this, but with women it's not like this. Like suppose if a woman is married and she decides to do something after her job, she already has so much of responsibilities from the side of home, from the side of relationships, that she won't be given that space. So, do you feel hustle culture is bit biased at the moment?
At the moment, yes. I would say so, because when we look at all these founders of startups and, people doing different things, I think men have that privilege wherein probably there would be a lot of men, who have that privilege wherein, there are wives who are taking care of the other things so that they can also,
Yeah.
work on that sort of a
That's
thing.
like a modern
Yeah.
patriarchy or something.
Yeah. There is obviously a contribution of the woman, in that man's success. But obviously, it is something which is not seen directly. But yeah, I would say that yes, there is, there. If a woman is married or has children, there is a lot she has to deal with, more, which is not acknowledged. Though it is something which is beautiful, having a family and having children. But probably it's again, as society would perceive it now, it would be like, okay, ye to har koi karta hai. But it's a beautiful thing if we acknowledge it. Yeah, it's good if you're a homemaker also, if as long as you're happy with what you're doing. But if women are given more space, or more time, I would say, they would come up with more startups. And, we have seen women as Shakti, women are creative. So there could be probably, we would have in India, probably we would have more startups than most of the world, and creativity as well. So yeah, you would see like women coming up with things like cosmetics and, things like dresses and things which are coming up well. But we would want to see more women coming up from certain different levels of industries as well, right?
That's what
Which
actually I
are,
was going to ask
yeah,
you. That even if women are building,
Yes.
they're inclined towards certain niches only.
Yes.
That's something that's there.
Yes. Why not, explore other things as well,
Huh.
which other people are doing, So yeah, of course.
And how's been your like again, I might be overlapping this question, but like I would really like to know in depths, like working in there, like you were telling like Mahindra Group and some other industries are in collaboration with you. So when we talk about them, they are like obviously very men. When you hear Mahindra, Thar comes to your mind. So it's like already a very men dominated sort of society. So didn't you face any sort of criticism there when you were building your way up and finally becoming the MD there? Like, wasn't there criticism that, oh, you are a woman, or you would have to deal with things in a certain way?
So I think since I was, a kid, I would not need validation of people around me, honestly. And I think probably this habit of mine helped me later in life as well, even if there was criticism. So I am a person who was focused on growth and progress and positive change. So I didn't care what I had to go through or what I will have to go through, even if it was a male dominated society, patriarchal system, like business, you only see men there. But I was actually willing to take up the challenge, and life is like that. If you look at, autobiographies of people who've done something in life, you will see their life was, full of challenges, and they actually took them as stepping stones. Like obstacles became illusions for them, and I would actually use that for me. Literally, I would not see obstacles as obstacles.
Would you like to describe this via any sort of example or event that happened in your life?
So there was some criticism from the side of my family as well, and obviously people would say कि लड़की है कैसे करेगी, लड़कियां क्या फैक्ट्रियां चलाती हैं, कभी देखा है किसी लड़की को फैक्ट्री चलाते हुए? So this is a very personal example I'm sharing with you. So I still remember that gentleman saying it. So he was someone close to the family as well. So yeah, I think there was this pinch in me, for a second. And it twisted something in me, which was like, okay, if someone hasn't done it, that doesn't mean that it cannot be done, right? So I took it up as a challenge, and anything in life, I have always taken it up as a challenge. Every day is a challenge, and I think I embrace it. I embrace change. I'm an ever changing person, and I would love to be that. I would, love to learn what your generation is doing now. Because if a person stops learning, the person is literally dead. So what keeps you alive is the learning. So till the time you're learning, till the time you're evolving, you have nothing to fear. Go out there, do what you want to do, but it shouldn't hurt others. You're doing something good, positive for your family, your people, you're bringing a positive change in the society, you're encouraging people to do well in life. I think what could be more beautiful than, having a human life who has a purpose greater than you. So I used to always mention in my talks that what is greatness? If you want to achieve greatness in life, you should have a vision which is higher than you. अपने लिए तो हर कोई करता है, बट जो किसी दूसरे के लिए कुछ करे, कोई दूसरे के लिए सोचे, वो इंसान है या वो इंसानियत है. And this is what we read right now in the world. The good people also have to come up. वो हम कहते हैं ना, we keep complaining in our house, बैठ के हम बोलते रहते हैं कि इतनी बुराई बढ़ गई है, people have become so negative. कलयुग आ गया, घोर कलयुग आ गया. But what are the good people doing? वो क्यों पीछे छुप के बैठे हुए हैं? They say कि हमेशा बुराई तब बढ़ती है जब अच्छे लोग छुप जाते हैं, when they don't want to do their part. Why are the good people hiding? They should come, they should spread the goodness. ये धरती एक्चुअली गुड और बैड के बैलेंस पे चल रही है, शिव और शक्ति के बैलेंस पे चल रही है. सो वी नीड बोथ, वी डोंट नीड कि सिर्फ बैड होना चाहिए, है ना, और गुडनेस के साथ जब बैड होता है तो और गुडनेस बाहर आती है, सो दैट्स व्हाई प्रॉब्ली इन lives of great people you will see कि उनकी जिंदगी ऐसे चल रही थी एक लेवल पे, and suddenly there's so many ups and downs, and then you see them performing on a larger level. You see Nelson Mandela, you see a lot of people like I wouldn't want to name any Indian controversial topics right now, but yeah, you look at people like that, and you say, wow, he had a vision which was greater than himself, and there were so many people, it's because of him, who have a better life today. कोई तो उठ के आएगा, राइट? कोई तो बोलेगा कभी, तभी तो कुछ चेंज होगा सोसाइटी में. अगर हम सब बैठे रहेंगे, ओ माय गॉड, आई एम अ गर्ल, आई कांट डू दिस, आई कांट डू दैट, कब हम ब्लेम करना छोड़ेंगे? लेट अस स्टॉप ब्लेमिंग एनीवन और एवरीवन, not even our parents, not even the society, and let's start making that change. If you want to see the change, you be the change.
Yeah. Also about women, like there was this very famous celeb who quoted this. I don't remember the name, but she said like, good girls don't make history, bold girls make history. Would you agree with that?
So again, what is the definition of good? again we are taking that preconceived notion कि good girl है, वो घर पे बैठेगी, वो शादी करेगी, you know, she. But then we don't have to take any preconceived notions, you know. Now I think we need that change wherein a boy is a boy, a girl is a girl, and you just give them a set of skills or that education and you say you be what you want to be. वो गुड एंड बैड आपके कैरेक्टर और आपके जो आप लाइफ में दे रहे हो बाहर सोसाइटी में, जो आपके कर्म है, इफ यू डूइंग गुड कर्मा, you will automatically be good, you know. I could be good, I could be bold for someone, you know, or I could be not good, not bold for few. Why do we have preconceived notions, you know? Why would we still term girls as ye good hai, ye bad hai, you know, ye aise hai, you know? We still see, you know, now with the new generation, हम ऐसे बोलते हैं कि कोई लड़कियां बहुत पार्टी करती हैं, हम कहते हैं ओ ये लड़की तो बहुत you know पार्टी बाज है or something like that. Why would we have anything like that?
Some people are very judgmental on a girl drinking whiskey. Like I have noticed this since time when I started drinking, that women who drink whiskey, men are having very different perspective about them. Oh, you are drinking this and all that.
That is what I'm saying. These are like the age-old patriarchal thinking which has to be broken. And who will make that change? You
For
know?
that, you would have to bold.
For you, sorry?
For that, bringing in the change, you would have to be bold as a girl.
I think you have to not look at outside validation again, you know. I mean, even for men, how will you change your thinking? You know, it's like if you see a girl having whiskey and you also had that thought, you know, probably, and there were guys around you, you know, saying ki, but then you're a human, she's a human too. Why do we actually forget that? As human beings, anybody can be allowed to do whatever they wish to do, as long as it is not harming anyone. I would say that. And excess of everything is bad. You know, we speak about Lord Buddha and we say कि उनका best, you know, the Four Noble Truths was the best thing because, you know, he would teach something about, you know, having the middle path. Because देखिए आपको excess में हर एक चीज़ खराब करेगी. If you overwork, that is also not good for you. If you party a lot, that is also not good for you. So whatever you do in life, if you do in moderation, you will see that's the best way actually to live your life, you know. So if you want to lead a good life, do everything. And wherever you are, do 100% where you are. If you're out with your friends doing party, please be 100% there. Don't think about school or college or studies at that time. But when you're in college, that is where you should be. You know, then when you're in class, you should study. And your most important thing should be actually grasping the knowledge or the wisdom from the education at that time. Usually हम लोगों के साथ क्या होता है कि हमारा thinking बहुत ही वो है, it's like a memory of a goldfish. हम कुछ कर रहे होंगे, बीच में कुछ और हो जाएगा.
We are not in the present moment.
One has to come back to the present moment, you know. And one thing which actually helped me in life was meditation. So I started meditating when I was 13 years of age.
Oh.
So yeah. So
And you are still continuing that
yes,
streak?
yes.
There was not even a break?
No. So that has been my foundation for life. And whatever I have achieved in life is only because of that. Only because of that. Because that was my sanctuary, you know. I used to close my eyes and I used to feel that actually we say कितनी सारी criticisms होती हैं schools में, colleges में, peer pressure होता है. But then when you actually close your eyes, I used to actually feel that I am actually energy. I am actually consciousness. And it happened after a lot of years of spiritual practice, sorry. It happened actually after a lot of years of spiritual practice that I learned, you know, to be in this space wherein I was happy being myself. I didn't need anybody's validation, you know, anybody's judgment on me. I just wanted to be a happy, peaceful person in doing what I want to do. And as I said, even today, if there is another role I need to take up, I would take up that.
But isn't that difficult to implement in your own life? Like, it's very easy to say that I won't be discouraged by other people, or I won't let other people's acknowledgement affect me. But deep down, it's difficult. It stays in your subconscious, and I would say sometimes in your decisions.
So I would just give you an example from my life, you know. So I started meditating at 13. By 22, actually, I was teaching meditation to a lot of people, to like thousands of people. I used to come at Astha TV at that time. And I was very young for that role as well.
Definitely.
So again, when we're talking about judgments, so there were a lot of judgments at that time also, you know, and there were a lot of things like, okay, you know, she's a girl and now she's gone into the meditation line. Ab to ye yogi ban jayegi. Now she will denounce the world. So I'm talking about judgments and everything. But what do you want to do? And what you have done in your life is what matters the most. So if I would have looked at all those judgments, I would have stopped my practice. But it was something which brought me solace. So this is from my own example. I lived it. So I went through a lot of turmoil. I lost someone very close to me, So through all those turmoils in life, all those ups and downs, there was one thing which was constant. And that was my inner strength to fight it all, Even today, if I'm given, if I'm just put in a place which is like a foreign land, I know I have that confidence in me that I will start from scratch and I'll make something good out of it. So I have that confidence. I don't need anybody's validation, and it is through living my life. It's not about हम books पढ़ के ज्ञान दे रहे हैं. It's my life and I have lived it in such a way. And I have proved myself time and time again to myself, not to anybody else, that I can do this and I can do this and I can go on to do anything I wish to.
Were you able to meditate when you were having this very unavoided atrocities in your life? Suppose it could be losing someone that was very personal to you, or it could be a big loss that you faced in your business or something. These unexpected atrocities that you get in your life, sometimes I guess these are big roadblocks in your way to meditate, because you are having this 10 different thoughts and overthinking in your mind. So at that moment, did you meditate, or you were trying to deviate from that?
So throughout my life, I have meditated, I have done chanting, I have done everything. Not, I'm a spiritual person. I wouldn't call myself religious, but as a spiritual person, I've explored everything from Buddhism to Hinduism to Sikhism, and I would term it as spiritual. So all the texts, all the religions, they're actually teaching us one simple thing, which is love, compassion. Having love, having peace, having compassion, being good to each other. But obviously, through the years, we've lost that essence. And we can only come back to it through meditation. And in your question, what I would say is there were times obviously I can't say that I could do it 100%. There were times when obviously I would close my eyes and the disturbance used to be much more. So I used to stop meditating and start chanting. So there were other ways also. But the most important thing was practice. So even if you look at success, what is the most important thing in success is consistency. You do the same thing over a period of time, give it your 100%, you will be there. So I'm not saying that, when I was 13, I was like a Mahagyani. I'm still learning.
Yeah.
But then, over the years, I would say, I got better and better and better at it. And actually looking forward to more.
But you didn't leave meditation when you
Not
were
at all.
at those problems in
Not
your
at all.
life?
That is the time when we need it the most, actually. So people run to substance abuse, people run to different things,
Alcoholism.
and especially, now we talk about this generation doing that more often with the stress and mental anxiety. But if we actually make something our habit, like if you wake up in the morning and, you say, I'll listen to some mantra or I'll meditate for some time, just 10 minutes, 15 minutes, not asking for an hour, you will see that change in yourself within 6 months. I don't want to be because I know for the Gen X, everything has to be fast. Gen Z. Yeah. Everything has to be fast. But then this is not something fast. Life has its own pace. Nature has its own pace. And see, everything is beautiful in nature. A flower takes time to blossom. So आपने 1 second में seed डाला, you will not see a flower automatically, right? Even for a child to be born, it takes 9 months. So you have to give it that time. So I would say, probably 3 months to 6 months. Try and do an experiment on yourself. You guys are just young into it. And this is also an experience, probably, which could give you the strong foundation in life, because I have through my life experienced this, that what was the one thing that was constant in my life was my spiritual foundation. Because I found that I have found myself, at least a bit of it. and I don't need anybody around me to validate me, तो मेरे को कोई stress tension life में नहीं हुआ इसी वजह से.
Like, do you support therapy? Like nowadays, therapy is a trend, and many people are moving towards it. Like it's becoming a new norm. Like just like gym is a new norm. Well, not a new norm. It's now getting old, but therapy is also something which is now very common. Every third person you ask in Gen Z have been to a therapist.
So I would say that therapy is more like a fad, you know. It's not a bad thing. Of course, you know, when we need help, you know, we should talk to someone. But what I would say is that आप कुछ सीख के आए. Suppose you're learning meditation, you learned it from someone, and then you practice it on your own. Why would you need someone's help in life? You know, why would you need someone to, you know, handhold you or, you know, be with you all the time? You know, then if you need help, you take it for some time, but then you have to find that inner strength in you. Or do you want, you know, to be with a therapist 24/7 to tell you everything? No, right? You know, we want to be able to, you know, take that help and be on our own. But we don't want that becomes our Besakhi in a way, right? You know, people usually what they do is they take help and then they victimize themselves and oh my God, and you know, now the therapist has said this and then we'll cling to that. And so why do we want to do that? You know, instead of that, learn something good from the therapist. You know, they will also tell you, believe in yourself, do this, do that, or do it through meditation, do it through other ways. But then learn to stand on your own 2 feet. Don't just, for me, this is what I've seen, you know, people just want to run, you know, the moment, matlab, it won't even be stress. It'll just be escapism. You know, then they would just make it a way to just escape.
So just like alcohol and the smoking, this therapy could be a way,
Yes.
but a more liberating way which people are thinking. That's
Yes,
what you are
yes.
sort of saying.
Yes. We would say that we will still put it into the box and say, okay, you know, this is still allowed. But then,
This is not cheating.
This is not cheating. But I think ultimately, you know, one should be able to do something like a practice which actually makes you stand on your 2 feet, whether it is therapy, you know, or whether it is meditation. Because ultimately that is what we want to be in life, right? You know, we want to also grow from a child stage to an adult stage. So what is an adult? You know, an adult is someone, you know, who can think, who can act, who can do things on their own. So we want to be that also. We don't want, you know, like therapists, even therapists have their preconceived notions, right? You know, we can't say that anybody is free from their notions, you know. So again, there would also be that challenge. Was your therapist good? Was your therapist bad? So, yeah, you know, why not do it? You know, find out a way which works for you, which you can go back to. Like, if I am feeling stressed or tense, I don't have to call my therapist. I just know I just want to relax. I'll just close my eyes or chant for a couple of moments.
Do you believe in writing down things?
Yes, of course. Journaling is very good. And I believe in writing down things as well as reading a lot. If you see my house, if you see my car, if you see my work table, you will see books all over it.
Even in cars?
Yes. Please feel free. So I have books everywhere. And it's not about knowledge. It's about learning from other people's experiences as well. You know, what they've experienced in life. And it is all a part of, you know, getting to that wisdom. So it's learning again. And learning is what actually keeps you young. It actually is what keeps you in your feet. You want to be dead when you're dead, right? You don't want to be dead when you're living.
That's a very good quote. Should be quoted literally in the thumbnail. And even I think this therapy thing, it's like everyone is sort of now supporting this. Even the Gen Z people I have seen, because there is this psychiatrist and then there is therapist. Psychiatrist will suggest you medicines and therapist then will do the talking and all that stuff. And I think therapy is more about naming things. Like you have OCD or you have this bipolar disorder. So, you know, I think we get scared by hearing those medical terms. I might be having bipolar disorder, but you know, I might not be knowing it that I have this. So ignorance might be a bliss here. That's what I'm feeling. That could be correct. Incorrect for some people. But I guess being ignorant of some things, like I have seen this, Like people, you're from Punjab who are very desi, like who just want to live the life to the fullest, sort of like,
Yeah, Punjabis have that vibe.
yeah,
Khao piyo ऐश करो मित्रों.
Mitro. Definitely that happy life. I have seen these people. They are so happy. Like you go and tell them you have OCD. They'll laugh. They'll say, "What is OCD? I don't have any OCD." So it might be ignorance, but I think that ignorance is something that's good there because you know everything about your mental health, right? But at the end, you're sad. You cannot sit with yourself. So I think that labeling is this generation's new sort of era. Yeah.
Yes, After I think this could actually be true because I was born and brought up in Delhi. So, you people are also in Delhi. But now I can see there is a shift in Delhi because they say Delhiites are more stressed and, Delhi has the most anxiety. And these are terms which we never even heard of 2 decades back. Probably, yeah, in my education, I would see, you would read about case studies in US and they were the people who had more of this anxiety and things like that. And we used to laugh and we used to say, seriously, what is this stress and what is this anxiety? The more we have actually started labeling things, which you're correct, हम उसके इतने minute उसमें चले गए हैं. The more it stresses you out also, we have these big names for just probably normal stress or anxiety, which is like OCD and, bipolar disorder and personality disorders. And then it scares you even more. I would just say everybody goes through stress, even our ancestors must have gone through stress, they have built things, from scratch probably, they would have gone through more stress. Who was telling them that this is OCD or now you having bipolar disorder? They just did well, than what our generation has been able to do.
But
So-
then the argument here is, sorry to cut, the argument here is this, what Gen Z is saying is that their times were different and our time is very different. So they are putting this argument when this particular saying comes into picture.
Yeah, which is actually true. Everybody would say कि हमारे टाइम का ये स्ट्रेस था या ये स्ट्राइव थी एंड एवरी जनरेशन इवन द जनरेशन विच विल कम आफ्टर यू विल से कि ये पहले वन दे हैड इट बेटर नाउ वी हैव टू डील विद अ लॉट मोर देन व्हाट द अर्लियर वंस हैव हैड बट actually look at it, even historically, when I actually see it in a clear light, I would say that look at our ancestors, like one day suddenly you were made to just pack your bags and leave the country. The diaspora, as we talk about, the partition.
Yes.
What they would have gone through, we have not even gone through 1% of that in my generation.
Even our generation
Yes.
also.
So just imagine, like humans dealing with real life problems. And even if the world, you look at it right now, there are wars happening at different places in the world. Look at what they are going through right now. Do you think they are actually worried about stress or anxiety? They're worried about survival. Like, will I be alive the next moment or not? What are we crying about in this generation, or my generation also for that matter? I'm not saying anything to your generation. Even in my generation, I would see a lot of people who were close to me. They had everything in life. They were blessed in life with everything. What they did not have was gratitude. They just could not see it. And then with a lot of people you see who do not have gratitude, things are actually taken away from them in the long run. So I have seen that in many examples. So what are you actually crying about? You have shelter over your, head. You have food to eat. You have good people around you. You have your parents. You have good friends. What are we actually crying about? Just to have, a life ahead is okay. Everybody had that, work-wise, you guys will do something or the other. We also did it. Our ancestors also did it. Everyone would be fine. Why are we so stressed? Why are we in such a hurry? That is the most important thing to understand. I did everything on my own pace. There was no hurry. Even right now, there is no hurry to achieve anything. No. Why? Look at the universe. It is unfolding in its own way. Nobody can hurry the universe. आप कुछ भी करते रहें. So why don't we actually fall into alignment and in pace with the universe pace? हम कुछ बहुत जल्दी बहुत ज़्यादा करना चाह रहे हैं. Probably इसलिए हम stress anxiety में जा रहे हैं. probably we should give ourselves time. Probably we should reflect on our choices or what we want, not what our peers want or what society wants from us. Maybe one could do really well being an artist if they follow their passion. But आप उसको startup में डाल देंगे, तो of course stress anxiety होगा. And not everybody can do that.
I think it's also about seeing. Like the moment I entered your house and I saw those three beautiful vehicles parked outside, my first thought was like, when will I get this? That's the thing. That's the peer pressure that I'm getting. Especially this hustle culture. If you're a bit active on Instagram, this hustle culture, 20 years old, making billions and millions in outside countries or even in India sometimes. I think this peer pressure that you have, and then this so-called instant gratification, just like we were saying we can order things, you were saying like we used to call the restaurant and then they used to place the order. Now it's like you blink it at 8 minutes mein aapke paas pahunch jayega. So I think these things are also there.
Yeah, but again, we have to understand, even if we look at researches, so you would see that people, who have won lotteries, or in gambling, so they would lose all their money within a few years, maybe in 2-3 years. How come? They won crores of rupees.
Because they didn't know how to multiply it.
So you have to be consistent. It's about consistency. आप बहुत जल्दी कोई चीज पा लेंगे, but आपको you don't know the way or you haven't stepped on proper floor, तो आप बहुत जल्दी नीचे भी आ जाएंगे. So when you have to reach the mountain top, अगर आप हेलीकॉप्टर पे गए हैं तो फिर आपको नीचे उतरना नहीं आएगा उससे. But someone who has actually climbed it, if the weather is bad, even if the helicopter is not there, उसको पता है अगर मेरे को नीचे भी उतरना है तो भी मैं उतर जाऊंगा. I have earned that place. I know how to climb this mountain. So one has to be consistent, which is very important. You can be, a unicorn company in like 1 year, 2 year, but are you able to sustain that? Is a 20-year-old who got a car, a Porsche, is he able to even maintain that for more than 2-3 years? Or did he just go up and just come down, crashing down, So one has to have the, like they say, there's this rites of passage, So one has to follow that to achieve a certain place. I wasn't given, like an MD chair. I had a very tough background to fight with. So a factory is a very non-glamorous place.
Definitely.
For a woman, So imagine one day without any prior knowledge, I was sitting there on the shop floor. There's labor there. There is staff there. It's automobiles. It's to do with iron. So your hands would get dirty, So are you able to do that work? Are you able to roll up your sleeve and actually get into it? Is what is important. That is why in the beginning I told you, if there is, because I have achieved this, I know that tomorrow if I'm given another work, something totally separate, I know I have done it once, I will do it again. Because I have achieved that excellence or that success in phases. It's not that I just went up, someone just gave me a chair and I didn't actually know how to deal with it and someone took it out. So I've earned that place, I know how to sit on the chair. So nobody can take me off that chair.
You have your own
without
place.
my own permission. So I have that confidence in me.
You can build something. If you build them for this, then you can build it for someone
Yes.
else or even yourself.
Yes, I can do totally something different tomorrow from scratch. So one should have that confidence in themselves, कि हम चाहे पढ़ाई कर रहे हैं, चाहे हम work कर रहे हैं, चाहे हम कुछ भी life में कर रहे हैं. It is that you give your 100% to it and you should have good intentions. अगर आपके good intentions हैं, I've seen this in life, even if there are people close to you who won't do good to you, but the universe is actually watching, or the higher power, or God, or energy as we call it, you'll get good back. Probably at a slower pace, maybe, probably from someone else. But if you keep giving out good continuously, consistently, you will get good back. वो आपको struggles life में लगता है कि no, everything is very overwhelming. But ऐसा नहीं है. Even in the bad phases of life, there is something good or the larger destiny that God is taking you to. One has to understand that there is a grander plan, there is a grander scheme to things. And that is how a human can actually have that peace and solace in themselves. कि जो भी हो रहा है लाइफ में, it is happening for the better, for the greater, better vision in the grander scheme of things. I also fit into that. If I keep running, if I keep fighting, then it'll be like anxiety, it'll be like stress. But one should know कि आपको रनिंग फाइटिंग करनी है, आप काम में करिए वो. सिर्फ बैठकर I've got anxiety, I've got stress, वो मत करिए. Why do you get anxiety and stress? Because there are probably, things. I'm talking about normal anxiety or stress. There are probably things, which you're procrastinating. Probably there are things, which they are on your to-do list and you are not doing it. You're just putting them under the carpet. If you start doing them and saying, I don't have stress, उसकी जगह आप काम करना शुरू कर दें, probably half of your stress anxiety will at least go. सिर्फ ये बोलने से that we've got stress, we've got anxiety नहीं जाएगा ना वो. We have to work for it. We have to do something. अगर आपको थेरेपिस्ट को भी मिलना है तो भी तो आपको उठ के जाना पड़ेगा. But then don't, I think, look at it as a way of escape, like substance abuses. When it is like really required, yes, use it. But ये होना चाहिए कि you have that confidence in yourself that I'll come back to myself, and हाँ मैंने इतने sessions लिए therapy के probably, a person can say कि I don't know, I have never been through therapy, so I don't really know what to, say on this. But I would say, yeah, I've heard that people take a couple of sessions, but don't be dependent on the therapist also. Learn how, they also handle you and learn to handle yourself. This is what life is all about. अगर आप अपने आप को नहीं हैंडल कर पाएंगे तो आप आगे जाके लाइफ में क्या हैंडल कर पाएंगे वर्ल्ड में when you're out there.
Like, do you feel crying should be normalized for everyone, irrespective of gender?
Yes. And I think this is where men are probably, so that would be gender bias for men. Yes. So yes, of course, that is very sad, when guys are told not to cry, because that is a feminine trait. No, it's not. It's a human trait. भगवान ने नहीं बोला कि किसी को रोना नहीं चाहिए, नहीं करना चाहिए. We even talk about, few, like deities which we worship. We say कि उनका वियोग हुआ, उनकी wife से. And he was crying. He was in the human form. When we talk about that, then we're saying that yes, we're all human. Everybody has a right to cry. Of course. But don't keep crying. Like, when we even talk about women, there are a lot of women who would like to victimize themselves and keep crying. So I would like to say that don't keep crying, Fine, in the moment you're weak, you're human. You cry, just let it out. Then be back on your foot again. Be ready, be a warrior.
Like, should you be, I'm sorry, I'm getting very specific with this, but should you have someone with you, like someone special with you when you're crying, or sometimes, you get this outburst when you're alone, or even sometimes in public places, and then you go to washroom and all that stuff. So do you feel that when you have this crying thing, you should be with someone that you trust, or even if you're alone, that's all right?
I think even if you're alone, that's all right. There's nothing like right or wrong in that. It's just a human emotion. If you feel like crying right now, if someone has said something bad to you or you're overwhelmed, then you don't have to look for someone that I'll call someone and then I'll start crying when he or she has arrived. No, it's okay, it's okay. You want to let your heart out, you can certainly do that. We have to allow other humans also to be who they are, whether they are men or women. So it's about being human. It shouldn't be gender based और सेक्स बेस कि लड़का है रो नहीं सकता, लड़की है ये रोती रहती है, ये भी नहीं होना चाहिए. सो इट शुड बी लाइक हाँ ह्यूमन है, इमोशंस हैं, रोना आया रो लिया, हंसे. सो यस, बट डोंट बी इन दैट थ्रू आउट योर लाइफ. सारे इमोशंस से निकलें. सैड हैं तो सैडनेस से भी निकलें. This is what the problem is. Mental stress है, anxiety है, and just because we just keep saying mental stress, anxiety, what are we doing about it? Are we actually trying to do something, to get out of it, or it's just a fad? That, oh, that one is stressed, even I am very stressed. अच्छा, उसके 4 stress है, मेरे तो 1000 हैं. So are we, actually glamorizing stress?
Yes, we actually glamorize our pains, I'd say. This is the new trend. Like, you don't know what's wrong with me, you don't know what's wrong in my life, Are come and live life in my shoes one day, and then you will realize this is
So,
something that we do.
so as we say, what you focus on becomes bigger. So if you focus on your blessings in your life, and I've seen that in my life, the blessings become more. If you're a grateful person, you'll have more things to be grateful for. And if you're a sad person or a person who just cribs, then that will be your life. So even, there have been controversial subjects wherein I've been asked questions like, what is heaven or hell? So I would say it is something which is actually our consciousness. So if we are having good moments, you see, if our consciousness is high and light and positive, you're actually in heaven. And if right now I'm giving you everything, you have the best of homes, you have like a Porsche, Lamborghini parked outside, but inside you're a miserable person, sad person. What is that for you? Is it heaven or is it hell? It's hell, right? So it's your consciousness. बाहर की चीजें have a part to play. But जो अंदर है, what is inside you is most important. How you are as a person, how you deal with stress or how you deal with life is more important than what is given to you outside or inside. You will hear about these examples in history जिसमें कहते थे कि there were these kings जो सोने के पलंग पे भी सोते थे but उनको नींद नहीं आती थी. So imagine having a kingdom to yourself, having a bed made of gold, थालियां गोल्ड की, खाना परोसा जा रहा है बट आपको भूख नहीं है. So what is that? Heaven or hell? You have everything which a person could crave for. You're a king, but you're miserable inside. So you're actually in hell. And you could actually be, someone who's a commoner, who's doing his best and is a peaceful person and is happy with himself. There you go. He's already living in heaven. He doesn't have to do anything. He just has to access his consciousness.
But I guess
And if he's a happy person,
Huh.
it's heaven already.
But I guess sometimes we do lose ourselves. Maybe because of work, or maybe because of some bad relationship or bad personal problem we had in our lives. And this would be a question to you also, like being in corporate, which is termed to be very toxic nowadays. So, was there any moment where you actually felt ki I am losing myself, or this is not me? This is not me. I'm on autopilot mode or something.
So when I started working, yes, of course, because you have to learn a lot. So usually, as you say, this is a stereotype कि you're in a corporate world, तो ये तो अब होगा ही, competition होगा ही, pressure होगा भी. And there were a lot of people जिसे कहते हैं कि this is like normal. Because competition, there are competitors who try and poach people as well, from your organization and things like that. Of course, it hurts, but this is life. So there were times, when I would feel that when I would think in terms of competition, then I would see that I am losing myself. So very early on in life, I actually had this sense that I will never compete with anyone. I will just compete with the person I was yesterday. And I swear, I follow it every day. I ask myself every day in the morning, am I a better person than yesterday? Am I happier than yesterday? Am I doing better for others also than yesterday? So it is something that when we actually forget bahar ka competition, you evolve yourself, which is the most important thing. Your competition should only be, I would not say competition word with myself. It's more like you are challenging yourself to be a better person. So it should be with you, not with anybody else. Because जब भी आप बाहर का देखेंगे, देखिए, world is changing, it's ever changing. आज कुछ है, आपकी generation में कुछ था, in our generation it was something else, in our ancestors' generation it was something else. If we keep on looking and changing, तो वो तो it's ever changing. So, aaj this thing is in trend. Tomorrow you'll throw away this cloth. It's perfectly fine. It's a good brand, but you'll say no, this is not in fashion. So what are you actually doing? You're changing yourself every day. Does that even make sense? No. You do and change the things which are required to change. If you're a happy person, you be happier. You be happier, you compete with yourself in being even more happier. Don't focus on things which are negative. Like if you're stressed, don't say ye stress hai, stress hai. It'll keep on expanding. It'll become so big. And the day you say, okay, got it, this is stress, I have to deal with it, now let me find out a way which works for me to deal with it. So that is how it will happen. We can't just keep on cribbing about people or things or victimizing ourselves forever in lives. Agar aapko life mein kuch karna hai, you see all the people who are successful in life, they have done something different from others. What makes them different? Looking at other people and copying them doesn't make anybody different. If you follow yourself, follow your passion, what works for you, that makes you different.
Sorry, I was moved actually. I was listening to this. This conversation is really not going into the business direction of it. Like, would really like to shift it a bit, though love the way we were talking about spirituality. Nowadays, there is this trend that everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. Like, someone opens an Instagram page, they term themselves as founder. So that's the thing that's been existing. And even, there's been a lot of glamorizing by various talk shows and obviously in social media to take this startup niche or business niche. To you, I really would like to know what is basically business and what is not business that people should know and understand.
So I think if it makes you happy, then be an entrepreneur. There was a time when obviously nobody even knew this word. When I actually entered the industry, there was not even a word called entrepreneur as such. Now we keep hearing it since the past few,
Years.
but 20, years back, there was hardly this word. It was only like business hai or, something like that. Now we've glamorized into entrepreneur and those big words. But if it makes you happy, then be an entrepreneur. But then if you're just doing it just to get the funding or, just to make a big company just because others are making it, will you be able to sustain it? Because you have a responsibility of a lot of people. You're employing a lot of people. One thing any startup founder should understand, because I have seen many startups go bust. There are many examples. So were those people really, responsible? Or they just became fancy entrepreneurs just to get in the funding? And then later on, just, get people first on higher salaries and then just, within a year, just let them go, and ruin so many lives. Does that actually make sense in the longer run? No, it does not. So if you actually have it in you and you think you can make a difference and you want to give employment to people and you have the leadership skills, then only get into entrepreneurship. Otherwise, if you're not a good leader and you cannot do business well and you just opening up, just to get in people, तो जैसे कहते हैं ना, आप भटके हुए हैं औरों को भी मत भटकाइए.
25 दिन में पैसा double, that dialogue.
So yeah, don't do that. Be a responsible citizen, which is very, very important. I took on to business also because of that. Because at the time, I was handed over business. It was in debts. So the only way to get rid of the debts was to sell off the factories. So the day it was sort of decided, I actually saw the fear in the eyes of the workers. That fear of uncertainty. कि हम लोगों की life खत्म हो जाएगी. So I think probably that thing shifted something in me and I decided that I would step up. I don't know if I'll be able to do well. At that time, obviously, I didn't know. Will I be able to, handle all this? But then I had this vision that अगर मैं कुछ अच्छा करने चली हूँ, then there is going to be some greater force which will help me, which I have seen time and again in my life. There has been something which I believe in, energy, God, whatever you call it. If we believe in it, it does help you. But you have to have a larger vision, you have to have goodness, you have to have positivity. Only then. अगर आप कुछ बुरा करने चले हैं, आपको कोई help नहीं मिलेगी. So if you want something, good in life, and if you want to do something good for others also, then yes, there will be good people also, who will come around. There will be people who will vibe with you, they will be aligned with you, and you will be able to do good in life. But just thinking in terms of materialism and money does not make that much of a sense to me. I would say have a larger vision than that. You want to start a startup. That's a great idea. But think in terms of at least 10 years, 15 years, 20 years to at least sustain those people. Don't think in terms of 6 months or an year and just make in your money and just run to a foreign land, absconding with the money of the people. So yeah, that is something I will not agree. That is something I will not call business. I will just call it scamming people.
ठीक है ना? Okay, that was something. But how can people identify these sort of personas? Because now the trend is, or the where majority of the people are running is who is more popular on social media. Like I might see the founder of Zomato or a particular dash company who is very popular, or I have seen this person on a talk show and they were talking in a very different way. I'll think that, oh, this is the guy and I need to follow them. So how should people make the differentiation between these sort of individuals?
So first of all, I'd like to say for followers.
Yeah.
So there was a recent study in Harvard, which actually shows that people who have lower IQ are actually people who follow celebrities and people like that.
That's going to hurt a lot of people.
I can be the bad cop in that one. Because I just want to make people aware, be intelligent. Even in following someone, one should have their own discretion, see the track record of someone. Just because you can follow people, don't have, people in lakhs, you're following. You are actually accepting so much of data which is not even required, so much of content which is useless. And that is making you even more confused as a person. So you follow people who are ideal, like if you follow, if you're interested in politics, you follow a leader, you look at history, you see the track record of someone, someone has made waves in history because, they must have done something good or different from others. So even with social media influencers, one should actually see, have they done something good for the society? या वो सिर्फ एक भेड़ चाल है. तो फिर एज ह्यूमंस व्हाट इंटेलिजेंस डू वी हैव अगर हम अभी भी हर्ड लाइक मेंटालिटी कर रहे हैं तो व्हाट इज द पॉइंट ऑफ एजुकेशन, व्हाट इज द पॉइंट ऑफ IQ, व्हाट इज द पॉइंट ऑफ हैविंग इंटेलिजेंस एज ह्यूमन बींग्स. देन इवन एनिमल्स डू दैट, वो कॉपी करके कर लेते एक दूसरे को सारी चीज़ें. हाउ आर वी डिफरेंट? वी हैव विवेक, वी हैव बुद्धि, एंड वी शुड यूज दैट. इट्स हाई टाइम. As humans, we should start using our own mind and not just follow people just for the heck of it.
Right. I think I'm still recurring that moment in my subconscious. That's really going to hurt a lot of people. People are avid
That's
followers.
okay. I told you, I don't look for outside validation. I just say what, I have learned in life and what I have implemented in my life. So I just don't care on those
I hope
terms.
so people learn this thing majorly.
Yeah, because it will make your life easier. It will, make your life easier. It will bring down your stress. It will bring down your anxiety. You look at all these social media celebrities also, most of them, I'm not generalizing, but most of them you would see, they themselves probably go through a lot of stress and anxiety, don't they? So they're not the ideal people. They haven't reached there. Even I'm not claiming that I have reached there. But what I'm saying is that there are better ways and there are more peaceful ways wherein you can navigate your own life. Everybody's life experiences are different. But yes, if you learn from people who have already done something good in life or made changes in the world, there are some traits. You will look at their character. They have strong character. They have strong values. They're not someone कि आपने उन्हें बोल दिया ये गलत है तो ये गलत है, ये सही है तो ये सही है. No, they will have their own ideals, they will have their own values, they will stand by them to do something good for others. So that's what makes it different. Even if you have crores of followers, but if you are miserable in your own life, Does it make any sense to you or your followers? No. In the longer run, it'll go bust. There is going to be a downfall. And we see a lot of downfall in a lot of lives of celebrities, of actors, of stars, of politicians, and they just can't deal with it. So, have a solid foundation. Have some ideals, have some values in life, have a bigger goal in life, have a bigger dream in life to do better, bigger for the वर्ल्ड जितने भी छोटे बड़े फॉर्म में कर सकें बट ट्राई कि आप कुछ अच्छा कर सकें किसी के लिए सो दैट विल मेक जिसे कहते हैं कि अ गुड ह्यूमन बीइंग एंड दिस इज व्हाट द वर्ल्ड नीड्स राइट नाउ वी नीड पीस वी नीड गुड ह्यूमन बीइंग्स वी नीड गुड पीपल टू कम फोर्थ टू मेक अ पॉजिटिव चेंज
And in the end, with those thoughts only, something that I would really like to know is to all those people listening to this, what would you like to tell them, to all those individuals who are basically hustling or they are involved in multiple things? So there could be a plethora of chances where they could lose themselves. So how to keep oneself attached with your own personality, with your own values, when you are involved in so many things? What would be that one piece of advice?
So, as we all have seen it, we are mortals and life is unpredictable. And life will have its own twists and turns. There will be heartaches, there will be financial issues, there will be everything in life. A human being goes through all the experiences of life. One should treat it as an experience and not attach too much to that experience. At that moment, आपको जो सीखने को मिल रहा है, learn that, and actually embody that to be a better person. Because as we say, हर किसी worst से worst situation में भी there is something good to learn out of it. So people who were in jails became great national leaders. How? देखा जाए तो वो तो बेचारे जेल में थे. They had the worst life. And how did they bring about such a big change? Because they didn't lose themselves. When they were there also, they were aligned with their values. They were aligned with what they want to do. They were aligned with the change they want to bring. So that is what actually matters. You have to believe in yourself. You have to have greater visions as values, as I would put it. I am emphasizing on that because this is what I think all spiritual or religious texts also teach us. If we look deeply into the underlying concept of it, not the greater fuss about it. If we see all the religions, all the spiritual traditions, they try to join each human being to another. We're all humans. We're all looking for that solace. We're all looking for love. We're all looking for acceptance. Why not give it to each other? Why do we have to fight with each other? Why do we have to bring the other person down? Why don't we focus on ourselves to be a better person? And I think that is the answer to it all. Just be a better person. Just be a competition to yourself. Just keep evolving.
I guess that was also all from my side. I really didn't know that this conversation would go so much into philosophies and spiritualities of our life in general, but really loved them. I had a great time. I
Thank
hope
you so
you enjoyed too the conversation.
Yes, I loved it, Aftab. Thank you so much. Even I didn't know this would actually
Yeah.
come up like this. We thought it's going to be a business
Business
entrepreneur chat.
podcast.
But yeah, this is life. And yes, we should embrace whatever actually came with the flow.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you so much for being on AP Podcast.
Thank you so much, Aftab. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching the podcast completely. It really means a lot. And yeah, if you have been with us till here, then finally subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to us. Make sure you drop a like. Make sure you leave a comment, whether let it be a critical comment, whether let it be a praise. Do leave your comments and do share this podcast with your friends. And we at AV Podcast are going to bring you the most amazing, the most untold perspectives like every time. Stay tuned.